So who are the franchises now that remain that do not have a title? Unfortunately, Orlando Magic are one of those, and the Suns.
The Suns, the Clippers. I don't believe
Clippers still haven't won one.
No, even when they were in Buffalo, when they were the Braves, they made the playoffs a couple times with Bob McAdoo and those guys, but they never won it.
The Timberwolves have never won.
Timberwolves are young, yeah. I can make that excuse. I mean, they're younger, so yeah, they haven't been around all that long.
I don't believe the Indiana Pacers have won.
They did win in the ABA. They didn't. Larry Brown played, I think, for him, or coach. I think he played for him. They did win in the ABA with Dr. J, and they haven't won since. I don't think the Denver Nuggets ever won it.
I don't think the Charlotte Hornets have ever won.
No, but which Hornets? The first Hornets, the second Hornets?
Yeah, I know. I love them all together. The Hornets.
Right. I don't think any of them ever won it.
Pelicans, Grizzlies. I mean, they're new, so
Grizzlies,
yeah.
Yeah, they never. Even in Vancouver, they never won it. I like them in Vancouver. They're pretty cool. No, there's been.
I like the old Raptors jerseys from the '90s when they were an expansion team. The purple with the big Raptor on it. Damon Stoudemire was the star. That was fun.
Right. Oh yeah. When I used to go to the net games, the girl I used to get past, she used to call him Stoudemire. I don't know, that's Stoudemire. They did finally win because of Kawhi, but before that, they didn't. They never. And we're going to have on Wayne Embry, who's their engineer. He built them. He actually got that team together with Kawhi and helped them win it. He's still working with them. He's evaluating talent right now. I called him, and he's going to come on. He wants to come on. So.
I know Oklahoma City has not won, and as we go through this list, I'm realizing there's a lot of new teams.
But wait a minute, though. You got to realize the Seattle Sonics did, and they're technically Oklahoma City. They moved. It's the same franchise.
Oh, when did the Sonics win? I didn't even remember they won.
The Sonics won in 1979. The year, a matter of fact, when Bob Dandridge played on the Bullets, when he was, he won the championship, and it was because of him they needed one more shooter. And then Wes Unseld won the MVP. The Sonics played the Bullets. And then the next year, the Sonics played the Bullets. But the second year, the Sonics beat them. I think the Bulls were up 3-1, and the Sonics won the next 3. And so they did win. Seattle did win.
The Sacramento Kings have also not won, I believe.
Well, but you have to go way back. They did win because they were the Syracuse Nationals.
Oh, the Nationals were a great franchise.
Yes, they were in the 50s. And they moved.
They play at the old War Memorial. It was a hard place to play.
Okay, so you knew that. I didn't. But they were great in the 50s, them and the Lakers. And the Knicks were pretty good, but they always would lose to one of them. But the Nats moved, and I wanted to see if I can remember. The Nats moved to Cincinnati and became the Cincinnati Royals, I believe. And then they moved to Kansas City, and they became the Kansas City Kings. Okay. And one year they played some of their games in Omaha, Nebraska, Rob. So they were called the Kansas City Omaha Kings. That was their name. And then they moved to Sacramento and became the Sacramento Kings. But they started as the Nationals. Is that right?
Yeah, I can't remember what team Syracuse transitioned into.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Maybe let's see. No, my bad. I got it now. I got the two New York towns mixed up. The Syracuse Nationals moved to Philadelphia, okay, and became the 76ers. That's what they became. The Rochester Royals moved to Cincinnati, became the Cincinnati Royals, then the Sacramento Kings, then the Sacramento Omaha Kings, and then the Kansas City Omaha Kings, I'm sorry. And then they moved to Sacramento. So we got it right now.
So we're back on track. I don't think the Atlanta Hawks, have they ever won anything?
Yes, they have.
They did. Sorry, yes. Hawks fans. Because I like I think it was named Josh Hoyter. Is his first name Josh? My memory's completely shot tonight.
Waiter?
No, his name is Hoyter. He's a redheaded guy from upstate New York, Shenandoah High School, played for Maryland. I just can't remember his first name. Mm-hmm. He's a 3-point shooter. for the Hawks, and I wasn't sure if Kevin Herter, sorry Kevin, he you could make the argument for upstate New York, he is the best player from the area. A lot of people like to say Jimmer Fredette was the greatest, but Jimmer Fredette never made it to the playoffs in the NBA. So I'm going to go with Kevin Herter.
For what, best player for Atlanta?
Best player upstate New York, north of Albany. There were some guys in downstate New York, Sam Perkins, a couple of guys, they're the New York City guys, obviously. But for being north of Albany in the state of New York, I would argue that Kevin Herter is the greatest player of all time from the area. Now I might get a lot of messages saying, no, it's Jimmer or someone else, but Herter's in the playoffs. So that speaks for itself.
Okay. I'm going to correct myself and I know this because I know all the franchises where they started. I can't believe I got it mixed up. But the Rochester Royals became the Cincinnati Royals, who became the Kansas City Kings, and then they moved to Sacramento. That's what it was. The Nationals were Syracuse, Rob. The year that the Warriors moved out of Philadelphia, okay, and moved to San Francisco, and now they're the Golden State Warriors. Now they're back in San Francisco. That year was the year Syracuse Nationals moved to Philly and became the 76ers. That's what it is. But in any case, all those teams, the Rochester Royals, the Nats, and the 76ers, they all won titles. They did. And the one thing about the Kansas City, Omaha Kings, they had one player on their team that has done something that no one's ever done to this day. And I don't think it ever will happen. Nate Archibald in the 1974-75 season led the league in points and assists the same season. No player's ever done that. He played on the Kansas City Omaha Kings.
Was the guy basically averaging a double-double every game? Yeah,
I guess so. Well, he was a great scorer, and he was our guard when Larry Bird won his first title in 1981. I loved him. He was they talk about Iverson being the best. I still think Archibald was better. He was amazing, and he won the scoring title, and the same year he won the assist title. Nobody's ever done that, and nobody ever will. And I wish that was a trivia question at the end of the game tonight. We would have won our game. So what? To answer your question about the Hawks, they did win in 1958. They beat the Celtics in Game 6. Bill Russell got poked in the eye. He was playing with one eye. We ended up losing the game by 1 point. And that was the last title they ever won because Bill just said, "You ain't winning again," and that was it.
That's the story, folks. How about the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers?
The Blazers have won with Bill Walton and Maurice Lucas, who Luke Walton's named after. They won in 77. Did you say Phoenix? They never won.
No, the Utah Jazz.
Utah has never won. They were the winningest team in the 1990s. They had more regular season wins than the Bulls did. They should have won at least one of those times against Chicago. And they used to beat the Knicks like a bass drum. The Knicks can never beat them with Ewing, but they never won it. And they probably should. The one year they should have won it was, I want to say, well, no, they wouldn't have beat Boston. But in 85, they had the Lakers beat. They had a 7-point lead in Game 5, and the Lakers won the game with only 44 seconds to go, no less. And Lakers pulled the game out, which I'm sure that Wilkes would tell you about if we brought that up. Keith,
Jamal Silk Wilkes, folks. Go through the video list. One of the all-time greats, Hall of Famer, 4-time NBA champion, right here on the show.
We did. So Utah's never won it. There's quite a few teams that have never won it. It's always been a Celtic-Laker league, pretty much. They won the most. Boston won 8 years in a row. The Yankees never did that. I mean, the Celtics won every year in the 1960s, but won. And the 76ers had to stack their team to do it. They brought over Wilt Chamberlain because they never had a center, and he played against Russell. They were great that year. But what they weren't expecting was the next year. Everybody thought Boston was going to lose because they were getting old. Once they were finishing 4th place, but they just made the playoffs. And once those playoffs started, they were like, "We ain't old. We're 23 again." And they went out there and roasted the 76ers the next 2 years. And Bill Russell was the player coach because Auerbach retired the year before him. A very young Auerbach. He was only like 48 years old when he retired. So you hear that, Phil? You wouldn't have been the number one coach if he kept coaching, because he was amazing. He won 8 years in a row.
8 in a row. Yeah, I don't anticipate that's going to be a thing that we'll witness ever in our lifetimes or beyond.
I don't think teams today can win 8 games in a row in a season, 8 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, an 8-game win streak's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, they in 13 years, from the late 50s to the early 70s, Celtics won 11 titles in 13 years. No one's ever done that. Russell has more rings than Jordan, 5 more to be exact. Everybody talks about 6, try 11. You ain't never getting that. You have to get 12 to break it. You ain't getting it.
So amongst the franchises we just spoke of that have not won a title, besides Phoenix, who just knocked on the door, which of them do you believe is the closest to winning it all right now?
Outside of Phoenix, the number 1 seed was Utah. Phoenix was the 2 seed. They got upset. I think they got upset because, with all due respect to Gobert, he's a good defensive player. He's a pretty good player. He's not a great player. He's not a dominant offensive center. He's kind of a stick person. He's not that bulky. He's beatable, and I think that coupled with all the threes they take, although Donovan Mitchell is amazing, I just don't think they're deep enough around him. I don't think the center's that good. Them losing helped Phoenix get there. They never had to play him, because Utah would have had the home court. They would have. I think them maybe right now are close. Denver's pretty close because they've got themselves a heck of a center. He won MVP. Jokic is great. So, but I don't know if they got enough around him. And then they had the injury. Jamal Murray got hurt, but come to think of it, Rob, you're right. There's a lot of teams that have never won it.
It's a big landscape, surprisingly. Once you kind of talk it out and go through it and look at it, you're like, a lot of teams don't even have one title.
No, they don't. And some only have one. The Knicks have been. There's only 2 teams left from the original NBA in the 1947 when it started. The Knicks, and Boston. That's it. And the Knicks only have 2 since 1947. Their last one came in 1973. They have not won. It's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be 50 years soon enough.
And you're not going to win this coming year, so you can bet on that. It's kind of disgraceful, really, because they're New York and they have, you think they have the money and it's New York. It's a big, and still, they haven't done it.
And given the draw, they're right there in Manhattan. It's still, the Knicks are still a hot ticket every time. You're paying, top dollar to go there, and they just haven't gotten it done. It is bizarre to see what I still consider New York the Mecca of basketball, and yet they don't have all the titles.
I think that the Garden. Look, I love the Garden itself and going and watching a game there.
I agree. Love the Garden.
But I think that all the teams that have played in the Garden should be playing in Barnum and Bailey Circus, because they're a bunch of clowns. The Knicks are a joke. The Rangers haven't won since '94. Isn't that right, Mr. A?
They have one. I'm thinking it's got to be. It's over 80 years with just one cup for the Rangers.
Well, it was 1940, right? And then 1994, and they haven't won since. So since 1940, they've only won 2 cups. That's pretty pathetic. That's 80 years. So that's a clown show to me. Even the Liberty, and I don't really follow, that the WNBA that close, but I know they've never won it. So, what the heck are they putting in there? It's a clown show. To me, I remember when the circus used to be there and the ice capades. I think that was more entertaining than what they're putting out there in sports. I know that St. John's played there. They were pretty good for a long time. And when Lapchak had him when my brother was small, he would tell me about it. I don't remember it, but he would tell me.
Oh, St. John's was a juggernaut through the 80s.
Yeah, they were, but even they couldn't do it because of Georgetown, right?
Uh-huh.
By Georgetown.
They couldn't get over the Georgetown hump. Nope.
Right, they couldn't. And you guys were all in the same. Syracuse was there, right? Were you guys in the same?
In the Big East, yeah.
Big East, right?
Syracuse. Well, now we're actually we have a losing streak to St. John's, which is a disgrace. But we did win 15 years in a row against them, and we would bring we would bring a huge contingent of fans to the Garden, sometimes surpassing their own fans. So, I mean, you could definitely add St. John's to the list that you just mentioned of unsuccessful teams. St. John's success is really the 60s and 70s.
Right. And well, before that, my brother said that they were really, really good in the early 60s. But, I mean, they had a long lapse. I mean, they were not very good until Chris Mullen and those guys got there. And then after they left, they kind of hit the skids again. You know, I mean, so if you just look at all the teams that have ever played there, you know, it's pretty messed up when the road team loves to play in the building.
That's how it is.
Yeah. Paul Pierce used to love it. He used to use them. Jordan, if any, Reggie. I mean, those guys, they would love to come there and win. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story about that, Rob. Reggie Miller came in to see my brother, and my brother was at the desk and he's writing something. He looks up, he sees, "Hey, Reg, how's it going?" And this is back when he played. And he goes, "You know, Tony, I got to tell you something. I love playing at Madison Square Garden against the Knicks." And my brother looked and goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "For two reasons." He goes, "What's that?" He goes, "One, I can't stand the Knicks and I love beating them." And he goes, "Right." And he goes, "I can hear your brother. That's me." And the crowd going, go, come on, beat him, beat him, beat him. I was like the only one saying it. And when my brother told me that, I almost went through the floor. I couldn't believe he said that. But, and because I would always go and see him and root for him. But when other guys want to come in and enjoy it, you know, and they do enjoy it and kill the Knicks for years until Kobe had the 81 points in a game. The top three guys scorers in one game. Okay. That would be Chamberlain with 100 points, Pete Maravich. And I watched that game as a kid. He had like 67. And there was another one who had 70 something. All three of those guys, when they did it, the team that they played that they did it against was the Knicks. All three of them. And that lasted for years until Kobe got those 81 points. I think he got him. I don't know if he got him against Toronto or Utah was one of those. For years, the Knicks are right on the list of giving up big games to other players on other teams. They're still number one because nobody's ever gotten 100 points in a game. Chamberlain did it against them in Philadelphia in 1962 when he was with the Warriors, not the Sixers. So the Knicks they're a clown show, like I said. And the Garden to me is a clown place. We have all the banners in Boston. They have all the jokes in New York. That's the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? But I love the
don't lie, Bob. The banners don't lie.
No, the banners don't lie. I love the Garden and all that.
Oh, I love going to see a game in the Garden. I miss the Garden. I wish the ACC tournament was in the Garden. I miss the old Big East tournaments. And yeah, you're right. If you're a visiting team, there's nothing like going to a Garden game. Nothing. The pregame, the postgame, everything. Everything about it's great. Nothing like it.
I mean, through all the years I went to the net games, and I went every night for like 15 years. Whenever I would go to the Garden, it was like a special treat, you know, something different, and I liked it, and I liked watching it there. And the new Garden's really gorgeous. I don't know if you've seen how they rebuilt it, but have you been there? But it's really great.
I've been there. It's nice. I love the Garden.
It's nice, yeah.
I hope Syracuse makes a return trip very soon. I think they will. I think they're going. I think they might be in a preseason, early season November game there. So I'll have to make sure to get there.
Mm-hmm. Who do they got?
I don't remember. I don't even know. I'm not even 100% sure if they are. They usually play in a preseason NIT or a Jimmy V Classic. They every couple of years they get to the Garden. And I think they're due for one this year. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. I could be wrong because they are playing in the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. But they could be doing one of those offshoot December, just one-shot deals in the Garden. But I'll have to look it up and check. But I hope it's happening soon because I do miss going to the Garden and seeing them play. And we're due for a win there. We've lost to UConn and St. John's there last time we played there. So we need to get a W.
And you're in the ACC now, right?
Well, I believe they're having, I think it's this coming season. It's the ACC tournament's going back to the Barclays Center, but I like the Garden infinitely more than the Barclays.
Yeah, well, that's something I've always liked. The college tournaments there. I think they're great. You know, I don't like the fact they took them out and or move them around like they do. I think the NIT's still there. You know, that's fun. That's actually really fun. I've been to a few, so.
Yeah, if you can make the NIT Final Four, I mean, that's something, you basically turn a bad season into an okay season.
Right. No, that's right. I mean, yeah, it's not the top.
And if you win the NIT, hey, that's an accomplishment.
UCLA doesn't like it as a rule. Then you know what they did when we won in '85, because we had Nigel on. He was on that team. They never put the banner up at UCLA. They felt it was below them to raise that banner because we won the national titles. We never did it.
They still don't have the banner up there.
Not that I know of, unless they change. I don't believe it, dude. No.
Now I wish I knew that, Bob, because I would have asked Nigel if he would have preferred to have seen the banner up there.
I never even thought about it, and I don't want to ask him.
I'll ask him.
Okay.
I'll ask him.
No, they didn't. They're against it. So, and like a couple of times when we made the NIT, it was a close vote. Because you got to vote if you want to go play in it. And a lot of times, UCLA was almost a no vote. But I'm glad they did go, and I was there a couple of times. I loved it. I do love it.
Yeah, for an East Coast guy who roots for a West Coast team, winning a term in the Garden, that's pretty awesome. Right.
Well, I also went to the couple years ago. I went to the Mississippi State when they were in it against Penn State, and I want to say Western Kentucky was in it, and I forget who the fourth team was. Penn State won it, but Mississippi State, I got the tickets from the assistant coach because Ben Hallen's there, and we know him. He made the NIT. Yeah, NIT. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but before this recent streak, Syracuse played very well in the Garden. I saw a lot of wins there. Not so in the Barclays. I believe I've seen Syracuse win one game in the Barclays and maybe 4 or 5 losses. So I don't have really much interest to see them play there anymore.
It's kind of a nice arena. It's big. We've been there, Rob, but it's a cold arena. There's not a homey thing. Like everything is close at Madison Square. Everything's, you know what I mean? There, it's just like you're playing in a hallway in Brooklyn. And hey, the Islanders wanted out of there in the worst way. They never wanted. After that first year, they're like, get us out of this place. Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't suitable for hockey at all.
No.
I was going to say the U.S. men's Olympic team, they lost the exhibition to Australia. Does this mean anything? Does this have significance, or is it just exhibition? I fully expect the USA to win the gold. I don't want to see us ever go back to not winning the gold.
It's not prelim. A girl on Twitter was getting on my nerves the other night because she kept saying, "It started already." I go, "No, the ceremony hasn't started. This is prelim. This is like exhibition." She goes, "It's not practice." I go, "In a way, it's practice because it's not real. They can still win it all." I don't know if they will. The rest of the world's caught up to them. Great for Kevin Durant. I'm glad he went. I'm glad he's playing. He's really a trooper, man. The guy's amazing. I love him.
I'm ecstatic. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, we need our stars to play, and for him to go through that playoffs, bit hobbled, and still play the Olympics.
Yeah, they can win.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Right. They still can win the gold.